I remember a conversation I had with my father more than 30 years ago. He said, "Anak, I want to send you to one of the best schools for girls in the country." He admitted he and my mom, they can't afford it, but he already had a plan. He said he would sell a property, use the profit, so they could afford the tuition. He also explained that it was a risk because it meant using their savings. But he also confidently said it was a risk he was willing to make over and over because he believed in the power of education. Good day, everybody. My name is Sofia de Guzman. I am a teacher, a school leader, and I advocate girls' education. Growing up, I was new to that school in high school. I was very afraid. But my teachers provided a supportive learning environment. They pushed us to do our best. My classmates were very encouraging. They inspired me to express myself. Because of that learning environment, we were empowered to pursue the careers we wanted. After high school, most of us were accepted in the university of our choice. We pursued the courses that we wanted for ourselves. In college, I also met fellow female classmates from other good schools. They also were very inspiring. After college, we went to different fields. Some went into engineering, medicine. I went into education. Others started the business and even joined public service. I thought that was the norm. Later, I realized that we were lucky. I was lucky because the rest of the girls in the country weren't as lucky. They had struggles. They were not surrounded by supportive parents. The culture of their school, it wasn't as supportive. Then I discovered it was true for the entire world. I was just really lucky. So as a teacher, I asked the question, why do parents send their children to school? Let's talk about 4 reasons. 1, it's an academic journey. And it means that the school is a place for learning where students are expected to develop skills, gain knowledge. Second, it's a personal journey. Because, for example, my parents, it was a personal goal to send me to one of the best schools for girls in the country. Combining the two would lead us to the next one. It is a preparation for a future journey. Our parents would always say, oh, you have to do this, you have to study, so you could go to college, get a diploma, and get a job, become independent, be able to sustain yourself, and if you want to have a family, sustain your family. The last one is growth journey, which is, for me, the most interesting and also intriguing. Parents send their children to school because they want them to grow as individuals with values, individuals who have principles. And sometimes this is also the basis of their choice for school. They would choose a school that they have similar values with. But the sad reality is adults have different interpretation of what it means to grow. Let's talk about it in the context of educating girls. Adults already have a notion of what it means to be a good girl, what it means to behave. You should be prim and proper. In the Philippines, we always hear the phrase, kababaing tao nito. Do you agree? Kababaing tao na to. So, sadly, it's 2025, and we still hear that phrase. So, when adults hear children, especially girls, asking questions, questioning decisions, challenging authority, asking for compromises, they would say makulit, right? And the last one, resisting the norm. They are considered different. But if we take a look at it, question, challenge, compromise, resist are qualities of being empowered. If we continue to have such mindset, then it's no surprise that our country is ranked 70th out of 139 countries in the 2024 Gender Index. I know there are many factors contributing to the gender index, but we have to admit, mindset is one of them. Fixed mindset. And because we have a fixed mindset here in the Philippines, we are one of the lowest in the region in terms of SDG Gender Index. According to Equal Measure website, if you go to that website, it will show you the trends and it will illustrate that my 12-year-old students at present, she will be in her 20s by the time all women in the Philippines have finished high school. And my 15-year-old student at present, if trends continue based on the illustration, no woman will ever feel safe walking alone at night in the Philippines. And based on the trend, I'm not sure if we should be happy that we are not alone. No country will reach gender equality envisioned in 2030. So, is educating girls enough? This question has driven me to embark on an independent research project which I called Dear Ineng, a girl-centered design for learning and teaching. Why Ineng? Who is Ineng? For the Tagalogs here, I'm sure you are aware that it's a term of endearment for your younger sister, younger daughter, your young cousin. Ineng represent every Filipina here in our country. And in this project, I discovered that the main issue is not girls having equal access to education. The main issue is that how equal their educational experience and outcomes are. What is their experience like as a student compared to their male counterparts? Where do they go after they get that diploma compared to their male counterparts? Because we have to admit, we work as hard as males, but if you take a look at the leadership positions, the top leadership positions, we are underrepresented. You can count how many Filipina presidents we had. We're underrepresented in the legislative, executive, and judiciary. CEOs, mostly males, right? But I'm very happy that there are more support that we see around us. But still, it is not enough. The Dear Ineng project is inspired by the educational philosophy of Miriam College, which borrows from project-based learning, PBL, or design thinking. It has 3 stages. They called it inspiration, ideation, and iteration. But Miriam College innovated its pedagogy, called the stages using labels that is more understandable for teachers because the focus is the Filipino learner. So Miriam College called it Laro, Likha, Linang. And from there, Miriam College believes that engaging students in PBL, project-based learning and design thinking, they become more actively involved in the learning process because the students are able to apply concepts learned in class in carefully and meaningfully chosen projects. The learning process becomes learner-centered, relevant, innovative. Of course, it exhibits applied learning, and because students are allowed to choose a project which later on could become their passion project, it's service-oriented. I also took inspiration from Girls Spark, an NGO focused on addressing the needs of the girls. Girls Spark took a gendered approach to design thinking and PBL and called the stages Find Her, Listen to Her, Design with Her. And so, in the Dear Ineng project, the main essence is to invite everybody for a call to action. It's a movement to ensure that every student not just in School for Girls, but in any school, is given the support she needs in order for her to achieve her true potential. I call the stages diwa or mind, damdamin, feelings, or dungan, soul. Because I know that every girl has a story. She has her own mind. It should not be dictated upon her what she thinks. So teachers should come up with activities to encourage girls to speak up. One of the struggles of girls is self-doubt because of the fixed mindset that we have. So we have to provide platforms where they can confidently express their feelings. Some would call us drama queens. But that's part of neuroscience. We're really emotional beings, and there's nothing wrong with that. The Design with Her stage, or dungan, is the part where all of us acknowledge that girls can be co-designers of their own learning process. Teachers should provide them many options. Teachers should empower them to make decisions. So in essence, Dear Ineng Project asks everybody, not just in school, even in the family perhaps, or companies, that we should find ways to help girls determine what they like, and we should help support them. We should provide a platform where they can confidently talk about what they think and how they feel about it, and empower them to make decisions. So how do we concretely apply that? If you are a student, uplift your fellow girl. If you are a male student, respect the girls. If you are a parent, let go of your fixed mindset. Have a growth mindset. Let the girls spread their wings. If you are a teacher, don't just teach. Encourage your students, especially the girls, to speak up, because they have their own struggles that males will never experience. If you are a school leader or part of a co-ed school, as this is not just for schools for girls, make sure that you have spaces that are safe for the girls. Take a look at your student council, your class officers. Are girls well represented? So to everyone here, I encourage you to join me in helping all the Inengs in the world. So to all the Inengs, dear Ineng, you are not alone. We are here for you. You can do it. There's still so much hope. Remember, my turning point was my father believed in the power of education. So to everyone here, join me in ensuring that every Filipino youth, especially girls, find their own turning point. Maraming salamat po.